Well, a strange creature has been spotted outside the Amarillo Zoo, and it's not an animal, it's not exactly a human. Take a look. Security cameras captured what appears to be a wolf man walking around the property.
Run! Pay attention to some of the photos we are about to share in this video. You are about to witness the unexplainable and confusing images that leave even the scientist speechless. From images that can prove time travel exists to strangest and weirdest creatures, these 20 pictures are definitely going to leave you seeking an explanation. Number 20. 11 years early. Imagine finding out that you were living in the future, but you didn't even know it. The story I'm about to share is like something out of a science fiction movie, but it's real, and it all happened way back in 1932. So, there were these two guys, a newspaper reporter named J. Bernard Hutton and a photographer named Joachim Brandt. They were in Germany to do a story on a shipyard in Hamburg. Everything was going fine until they were about to leave. Suddenly, they heard the roaring engines of fighter planes and the sky filled with them. The anti-aircraft guns started firing and bombs were dropping. It was like a war zone right there. Naturally, they tried to help, but they were told to get out of there. As they drove away from the shipyard, they looked back and couldn't believe their eyes. Everything was back to normal. No damage, no chaos, no nothing. It was as if the war had never happened. Even the pictures they took showed everything as if it was all fine. Initially, their story wasn't believed. People thought they had too much to drink or something. It was dismissed as a wild tale. Now here's where it gets super weird. Bernard Hutton moves to London before World War II, and in 1943, he reads a newspaper that makes his heart race. It's a story about a successful air raid on that same Hamburg shipyard. It was exactly what he and Brandt had witnessed 11 years earlier. How in the world did that happen? Number 19. Reporting for duty, even after death. In 1919, a routine group photo of a World War I RAF squadron was taken. Everything seems normal until you notice the fourth man from the left in the back row. Standing behind him is another figure, unmistakably a man. That man is said to be Freddie Jackson. Now here's where it gets strange. Freddie had tragically lost his life 2 days before this picture was taken, and his funeral was taking place on the same day as the photo. The spooky part is that the figure in the photo is identified by Freddie's squadron members as him. The photo was officially published in 1975 by Sir Victor Goddard, a retired officer of the British Royal Air Force. This isn't a case of photo manipulation because it was an official Air Force photo, which means it shouldn't have been altered. Plus, experts have ruled out double exposure as an explanation. So how did Freddie show up in the photo even after his death? Number 18. Stairways to Heaven. Back in 1936, a legendary ghost photo took the world by storm. The eerie image captured at Raynham Hall for Country Life magazine features a spectral woman known as the Brown Lady. Photographers who took the shot couldn't find a trace of fakery. But who is this ghostly lady and why does she haunt the photo? Legend has it that she's Lady Dorothy Townsend. Her husband, 2nd Viscount of Raynham, Charles Townshend, suspected her of infidelity and locked her up inside the house. Legal records state that she passed away in 1726, but persistent rumors claim that she remained a prisoner for many years beyond her supposed death. This spectral lady has made many appearances over the years. One of the spookiest accounts came from King George IV himself, who claimed to have seen her standing by his bed. The Brown Lady remains one of the most famous and spine-chilling ghostly mysteries in history. Number 17. The Garden Ghost. Imagine being on a lovely countryside picnic with your family. That would seem like a perfect day for a snapshot, right? Well, Jim Templeton and his wife couldn't resist capturing the moment while enjoying lunch with their young daughter. Little did they know that this innocent photograph had a secret detail inside. When the images from their day at Burgh Marsh were developed, a chilling realization became clear. As Jim was flipping through the photos, he noticed the spectral image of an elderly guy in the backdrop of the picture with his daughter. The Templeton family insists there was no one else present during their outing. Confused by the strange appearance, they looked to Kodak for clarification. Following a careful inquiry, the printing company certified that there had been no tampering. Number 16. Ghost Baby Gracing the Grave. It's 1945, and Mary Elizabeth Colquhoun, a grieving Australian mother who lost her daughter, Joyce Elizabeth Andrews, at the tender age of 17, sought solace in a simple photograph of her daughter's resting place. As the photos of Joyce's grave were developed, the heartbroken mother discovered something utterly spine-tingling. In one of the snapshots, something inexplicable appeared, the ghostly figure of a little girl. This ghost child was not her beloved daughter, Joyce, but an unknown presence. What's eerier is that this apparition seems to be sitting on the grave, gazing directly into the camera. What makes this tale even more chilling is that Mary swore that she didn't recognize the mysterious child at all, and there were no other living children present in the cemetery that day. Number 15. The Patterson Grim Bigfoot film. In 1967, in the forests of Bluff Creek, California, two adventurers named Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin went searching for something extraordinary. Bigfoot, the legendary creature. During their quest, they stumbled upon something incredible, and it was all caught on camera. The video they recorded is just 59.5 seconds long, but it's mesmerizing. It shows a huge, ape-like creature confidently walking through the woods, covered in dark hair. What's even more astonishing is that this creature seems to notice the camera and look straight into it before disappearing into the dense forest. This video, known as the Patterson Gimlin Bigfoot film, has puzzled people for years. Roger Patterson believed he had encountered a real Bigfoot and captured the proof on film. But many people have doubted the video's authenticity, thinking it might be a trick or a cleverly made costume. Scientists have tried to figure out if the video is real by studying the creature's size and movements. Some experts think it could be a genuine unknown primate, while others say the video isn't clear enough to be sure. Number 14. The Nazca Lines from Above. Deep in the arid desert of Nazca, Peru, something truly astonishing appears. The vast expanse of the desert is marked with incredible designs, featuring geometric shapes, animals, and plants, etched into the earth over 50 square kilometers. Sounds incredible, right? But these designs are ancient, dating back nearly 2,000 years. How on earth were they created with such precision and artistry? What makes the Nazca Lines even more unusual is that they can only be fully appreciated from above. These giant geoglyphs are best viewed from the sky, which seems nearly impossible given the time they were created. The purpose of these lines remains a baffling mystery. Some believe they align with celestial events like solstices, while others argue they hold religious significance, symbolizing the beliefs and practices of the Nazca people. Some even speculate that they were meant to communicate with beings from other realms, such as aliens or spirits. Number 13. Eusapia Paladino, Levitation Photo. Let's talk about a mysterious photo taken way back in 1898 in Paris. In this photo, a woman named Eusapia Paladino appears to be making a table float in the air during a seance. Eusapia Paladino was known as a medium from Italy, and she claimed she could communicate with the spirits of the dead. She was even believed to have powers to make strange things happen, like moving objects and making tables rise into the air. A French doctor took this photo and said that they took it under very strict conditions. He mentioned that two assistants were holding Paladino's hands and feet, and yet the table floated without anyone touching it. He also said that the photo was completely natural and not altered in any way. During the same seance, he saw other weird things, like a glowing hand and a face appearing in a lump of clay. But not everyone believes this photo. Some people say there are problems with it, like Paladino's body looking strange, no shadows under the table, and the chance that hidden wires or supports were used. So this photo is still a big mystery. Number 12. Fairy Circles of Namibia. Deep in the heart of the Namib Desert, there's a puzzle that's been confusing scientists for over 50 years, the strange fairy circles. These are strange circular patches where grass doesn't grow, and they stretch across a huge area in southern Africa's dry grasslands. Despite the name, there are no fairies involved, but there are many ideas about why they exist. Two main ideas involve termites and the way grass evolved. But now, ecologist Stefan Getzen and his team from the University of Göttingen in Germany have a new study that might finally solve the mystery of these fairy circles. These circles aren't just known for their empty centers. The grass around the edges of the circles grows really well, so how do these tough plants survive in one of the driest places on Earth? Getson and his team spent 3 years in Namibia, studying the grass during the 2020 drought season. They discovered something incredible. The grass on the outer edges of the circles had found a clever way to get as much water as possible. They created something like a vacuum around their roots to pull in water. In contrast, the grass inside the circles struggled to get enough water to survive. This discovery suggests that the fairy circles might be nature's way of dealing with a lack of water. They create a circular formation that acts like a water reservoir, helping some plants on the edge while making it tough for those in the middle. Number 11. Hanging Cop. The hanging cop photo from 1920 is one puzzling image. It claims to show a police officer hanging from a beam right above the bustling Times Square in New York City. The catch is, no one knows who the photographer was, and the identity of the officer remains a mystery. There are all sorts of theories about this photo. Some folks firmly believe it's real and that it captures a fearless stunt performed by either a police officer or a daring pilot. They even point to similar stunts performed by silent film actors like Harold Lloyd and Buster Keaton. Some say it's all a fake, that the photo was staged or altered using tricks like backdrops, nets, or cut-and-paste methods. They have their doubts. Number 10. Cooper Falling Ghost. You might think you're looking at a scene from a scary movie, but believe it or not, this spine-tingling photo was taken right in Cooper's dining room. 2 ladies and their little boys gathered around the table, smiling for what seemed like a lovely family photo. But wait, there's something strange lurking in the corner, a mysterious figure dangling down. The lady in the photo, John Cooper, swears that no one was defying gravity or hanging upside down when the snapshot was taken. The creepy figure only showed up when the film was developed. Now, take a closer look at the family members' terrified expressions, especially the kids. It's got us wondering if something else was happening in that room. Was it all a hoax or a prank? Maybe using some digital trickery? What's the real story behind this chilling Cooper Falling ghost? We may never know for sure. Number 9. Time-traveling hipster. Back in 2010, the internet was set abuzz by a photograph from 1941, a year far removed from digital cameras and hipster culture. This intriguing image was part of the Their Past Lives Here online exhibit hosted on the Virtual Museum of Canada's website. As soon as it hit the web, debates exploded on platforms like Reddit, Dig.com, and social media. The center of attention in the photo was a man who seemed like he had stepped out of a modern-day magazine. Sporting shades, a printed t-shirt, and holding what suspiciously looked like a compact camera, he stood out like a sore thumb in 1941. But as the debates raged on, skeptics pointed out that the man's attire and even the camera were not entirely out of place for the era. Research teams and internet sleuths dived into the man's identity and the history of time travel, while others had a field day creating parodies, jokes, and memes. Was he a time traveler, a fashion-forward local, or just an optical illusion? Number 8. Telephone in 1938. In 1938, way before smartphones were a thing, a woman appeared in an old black and white picture holding something that bears an uncanny resemblance to a modern cell phone. You might be scratching your head, but this isn't a scene from a movie. It's a real snapshot from a factory in Massachusetts that's left over 300,000 people puzzled. In the video, a woman strolls amidst a crowd, seemingly deep in conversation with the device clamped to her head. And it's not just any device, it's hand-sized, dark, and looks suspiciously like a cell phone. She eventually lowers it, leaving us to wonder what exactly it was. A compact mirror or hearing aid like some skeptics suggest. Or maybe, just maybe, is it definitive proof that time travel is more than a fantasy? The 1930s was an era of fashion, jazz, and classic cars, but mobile phones were as futuristic as flying cars. So how does one explain this mysterious gadget? Number 7. The Adidas trainer's mummy. Imagine stumbling upon a mummy wearing sneakers that look like they came straight from an Adidas store. It sounds like the plot of a sci-fi movie, but it's a real discovery made by archaeologists in Mongolia. The mummy isn't a modern-day time traveler with a love for sportswear, though. It's ancient, dating back around 1,100 years. This stylishly clad individual was likely a Turkic seamstress who was ahead of her time in more ways than one. Besides those Adidas trainers, she had a whole fashion-forward ensemble, including a clutch bag, a mirror, and a comb. Talk about ancient chic. But here's the mystery. There was no sign of a mobile phone. So how did she keep up with the latest fashion trends without the digital world's help? It's tempting to let our imaginations run wild with tales of time travelers. But the truth is often more fascinating. Number 6. Modern-day Greek woman. Now, this is a tale that might make you question history as you know it. Imagine an ancient marble sculpture, the grave Niskos of an enthroned woman with an attendant, residing in the J. Paul Getty Museum in Malibu, California. This 37-inch marvel showcases a woman regally seated in an armchair, while her attendant stands before her, holding up a thin folding box. Now, here's where it gets intriguing. Some folks speculate that this box isn't just any ancient artifact, it might be a laptop screen. Yes, you heard that right, a laptop in ancient Greece. Why this wild theory? Well, the box has 2 holes that kind of look like USB ports or cable inputs. But before we start believing that the Greeks had some extraordinary tech, experts have more grounded explanations. They suggest the box could be a pair of ancient wax tablets for writing. Or perhaps those holes once held wooden objects, which have long since turned to dust. It's a fascinating puzzle. Could it be an ancient laptop or just a case of lost in translation history? Number 5. Dead Vley. Nestled within the stunning Namib Desert, Dead Vley, often called the Dead Marsh, is a scene like no other. It's a vast white clay pan surrounded by colossal sand dunes, some towering as high as the Empire State Building. They even have a nickname, Big Daddies. Close by, you'll find the famous Sosus Vley, a salt and clay pan cradled by regal red dunes, drawing adventurers from far and wide. But Dead Vley is the gem in this desert crown. What makes this place truly magical? Imagine the stark contrast of these giant red sand dunes against the backdrop of 900-year-old camel thorn trees. These trees, like ancient sentinels, have silently stood the test of time. Centuries ago, life-giving waters from the Sauchab River were cut off by shifting sands, and these trees met their fate. Remarkably, the desert's dry embrace preserved them, turning them into a haunting yet beautiful spectacle. Here you'll witness the resilience of nature as these towering 312-foot-high sand dunes seem to defy time itself. The climate in Dead Vley is so dry that some trees have remained unspoiled for over a millennium, giving us a rare glimpse into history. It's no surprise that this breathtaking landscape has been featured in famous films, becoming a star in its own right. Dead Vley, where nature's artistry knows no bounds and ancient trees stand proud against the march of time. Number 4. Halien Lights. Imagine gazing at the night sky, and instead of stars, you're treated to dancing, multicolored lights. These lights come and go, sometimes hanging around for hours, sometimes vanishing in mere seconds. They're like the cosmic kaleidoscope, flashing shades of white, yellow, red, blue, and green, all while changing shapes and sizes. While the Halien Lights have been observed since the 1930s, they gained popularity in the 1980s, and that's where the real mystery begins. What's causing this breathtaking light show? Some suggest these lights could be tricks of sunlight or moonlight bouncing off lunar modules or lost thermal blankets from space missions. Local legends, on the other hand, have a different tale to tell. They claim these lights are born from incomplete combustion of airborne dust that lingers in the mining-heavy region. This dust is no ordinary speck. It's filled with elements like hydrogen, oxygen, and titanium, which, when ignited, give birth to luminous spheres and smoky trails that hang in the air. And then, there's the far-out theory. Some extraterrestrial enthusiasts believe that the moon is a host to aliens or ancient civilizations. In their minds, these beings have left behind some celestial calling cards. Are these lights their way of saying, hello from the moon's other side? Number 3. The Hook Island Sea Monster. In 1964, near Hook Island, which is part of the beautiful Great Barrier Reef in Australia, two adventurous photographers, Robert Leserek and his wife, were taking pictures of the underwater world when they saw something huge and mysterious. Can you imagine what they captured on film? It was a massive, strange creature lurking beneath the water's surface. This became known as the Hook Island Sea Monster. The pictures showed a long, snake-like creature with humps. People couldn't agree on what it was. Some thought it might be a gigantic, unknown sea animal. Others said it could be a sea serpent from legends. The pictures got famous, and everyone had their own idea about it. Some even thought it might be a surviving dinosaur. Some people think the pictures were a trick or maybe a big misunderstanding. Number 2, Seaside Spooks. Back in 1925, two crew members, James Courtney and Michael Meehan, on the SS Watertown, had a tragic accident. They couldn't breathe, and they died. To honor them, the ship crew did what's called a sea burial. They put James and Michael in the sea near the Panama Canal. Now here's where it gets spooky. After the burial, the crew saw something that didn't make sense. They saw the faces of James and Michael, the two sailors who had just been buried, floating next to the ship. It must have been terrifying. The ship's captain, Captain Keith Tracy, took a photo of these strange floating faces. It was a picture that made people gasp. Even after the ship reached the harbor, the faces of the two sailors didn't go away. They just stayed there. This strange event was talked about for a long time. In fact, the picture was shown in the offices of City Services, which is now known as Citgo, in New York City. Many people tried to understand what happened, but the more they looked into it, the weirder and more confusing the story became. Number 1, Babushka Lady. Amid the historic events of JFK's 1963 assassination in Dallas, one person stands out, the Babushka Lady. This mysterious woman, not named for her age but for her headscarf, appeared in photographs and videos from that fateful day. Yet her identity remains a mystery. Despite the passage of almost 6 decades, she never stepped forward to reveal herself. While the Babushka Lady is not suspected of involvement in President Kennedy's tragic death at the age of 46, her proximity to the event piques curiosity. Some speculate she may have witnessed, even photographed, crucial details from that day. Witnesses recall her holding a camera as the presidential motorcade passed by, standing near Elm and Main Streets, with a clear view of history unfolding. After the gunshots, she joined the crowd rushing up the grassy knoll, a location where some believed the fatal shots were fired. Then she vanished from sight, last seen walking eastward on Elm Street, away from the scene. There you have it, the unexplainable photos that keep scientists awake. Some of us can agree that some things can't be explained no matter how hard we try, while some don't. Well, whichever section you are, do share your unbelievable Kodak moments with us in the comments section. See you on the next one. Bye for now.